Hello everybody and welcome back to JoEnglish. As you can see, I have Pammy with me again.
Hello everyone.
Which means we have another episode of Natural Conversation.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about life at university.
But remember, we're talking about life at university, 20 years ago? So
yes.
Obviously some things may have changed, but I think generally things are pretty much still the same.
Yeah.
So anyway, first things, we went to university in Wales. Now, I'm not from Wales. Pammy's family's from Wales.
Yes.
But usually in Britain, you don't go to university near to where you live. It's one of those things. You go to university and you have to move away.
And you leave home. You leave home. It's sort of your first time that you live on your own and you get used to adult life, really. So
being independent
and
things. But it is almost a rite of passage that when you go to university, that is it. It symbolises leaving home, moving on. Exactly. Now, I know obviously it's not the case for everybody. Obviously, some people do go to university near their home and everything. But I would say the vast majority, I mean, I don't know anybody who went to university close to where they lived.
And to be honest, university itself, at least, as we said, 20 years ago, this was the case, it encouraged students to sleep within the university campus. So especially for first years, freshers, they would...
They would help out, wouldn't they? They realise it's like a big step for people living on their own. Because only 18. Because in Britain you finish school a year younger than you do in Italy. So lots of people are 18. I was just 18 when I finished school. So yes, universities are good. Like Pammy said, freshers. Now fresher is a term for a first year student, and you live in halls of residence, don't you? Which is like a hotel for students.
It is really. I mean, there were different types. There were blocks where there was rooms where you had your bed and a little wash basin, and
a communal kitchen as well.
A communal kitchen and a communal toilet. Or there were slightly posher ones where you had your own ensuite, so your toilet in your room and your shower. And you still shared the kitchen, which is lovely because it helps people, even maybe the shyer ones, to sort of socialise and meet other students and make friends.
No, absolutely. I didn't have that though.
Where were you?
I was... just outside the university in halls.
Oh, you were,
and
yes.
In my halls, because back then I couldn't cook an egg. I couldn't boil an egg. I knew nothing. So I had catered halls.
Don't know much more now.
Well, and so my catered halls where I basically could go breakfast, lunch and dinner to the cafeteria and I would eat. So everyone on my floor, all my friends, we would go. But to be honest...
I forgot he had the lazy version of student life.
But to be honest, I never made it down for breakfast, I don't think, in the whole of the first... Because breakfast was early. I mean, they stopped serving breakfast at 9:30. Now, 9:30... for a student, is 9:30 in the morning is the middle of the night. I couldn't dream of getting up that early. So
no, that's true. I wasn't as lucky, put it in that way. Actually, I preferred where I was. I shared a kitchen, and there were students from all over the UK. There were international students as well. And it was lovely. It was a lovely way to sort of, as I said, meet other people and make friends.
Yeah.
And the cooking experience together was quite nice. And
And I think then it really helps because obviously then in the second year, it's very rare that you are allowed to stay in halls of residence in your second and third year.
Yeah.
Because obviously they give priority to the freshers, to the first years. So in your second year, you then find a house. And you often, it just happens, you share a house with the people you went...
in the first year,
met in the first year in halls, because they become your friends. So in the second and third year, moved out, had a house. We both did different houses, and so there we are. So that's how you live at university. Okay, now we mentioned freshers. So like we said, it's a first year student. Now there's also something which is probably the most important week for any fresher. And it's very imaginatively named Freshers Week. And it's basically a week where all the freshers, they have organised events like going around the pubs. There's a lot of drinking involved. But also...
Again, which is a way to help people socialise in a sense.
It is.
It's a way of helping people feel comfortable and...
It's not only that though, is it? I mean, it's also a time for you to sign up to any clubs you want, or societies. For example, I joined the football club. And
there are several societies though. There's hockey, apart from all the sports ones really, but then there would be art, there would be
history society, drama club,
film club.
There's also an Italian society.
There was an Italian society, and because especially in Wales, actually, there is quite a big community, Italian community of people that came during the war and sort of ended up marrying Welsh ladies and creating a family, and so a big Italian community as well. But apart from that, there's a bit of everything.
Walking club, surfing club. There's loads of, but it's again, that's a great way for you to at the very beginning meet friends, get out there, because the first year at uni, and I say uni because very rarely do we say university. The first year at uni is getting acclimatized to being away from home. So any work you do often doesn't count towards your final mark. So they really make a big push to make sure that everyone's integrated well, has friends and are happy there. So that when it comes to the second and third years, they're ready to really start studying.
And these societies serve a purpose as well of helping release stress or anxiety, or so if you're worried about your coursework or your exams or your academic work, these going to these societies is sort of helping you release that stress.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about lessons, because obviously I've taught a lot of university students, Italians, who go to university in Italy, and they always seem to be studying non-stop, lectures or lessons from 8 a.m. until the evening. Now, I didn't have that experience.
No, it's a very, very different experience indeed. It's very practical. Studying in the UK at university...
It's very independent, isn't it?
Independent, as in they help you think. It's your thinking, obviously, together with the academic side of it. So...
But there are, for example, obviously, if you study something like medicine or law or something like that, veterinary, then you do have a lot more lessons during the day.
But again, even that, it starts from a practical side to then get to the book. While in Italy, from what we've heard really, it starts from the book to then eventually at the very end get to the practical side. So they're very different approaches.
But if you study the arts, for example, like history, English, geography, I had 6 hours a week. 6 hours a week, not a day, 6 hours a week of lectures. And you'd have a lecture on a certain topic, and then you'd have a book list of maybe, I had a book list, I think, of 400 books. I didn't read 400 books, but...
They encourage you to do it, and they help you as well to do it.
They encourage you to go and get your own opinion on the topic. And then you write essays throughout the year. There's no oral, well, I didn't have any oral tests at all. Obviously, they do for languages, but generally... It's all written coursework, essays, and then final exam.
Yeah.
Right. Another really important thing about university life in general is the student union. And the student union is basically the representative body for the students. And they're actually quite a powerful...
Yeah. There's a president and a vice president, and it's all very organised and
And it's all legal as well. It's all very legally binding and
the university where we went was a very small campus-based university. Not all universities are campus-based. So like in bigger cities, for example, you wouldn't have... We actually had a university walls that enclosed the actual campus, which was beautiful. It had loads of lovely gardens and the students' union.
Whereas my brother went to King's College in London, and there's no campus there. They have university buildings and they have a student union. Now the student union is basically there's a bar there, and there are shops and things.
And when we went 20 years ago is where you collected your post, because letters still arrived.
That's true. That was incredible.
There weren't many emails, and there was a phone box that you could use. But
it's like the hub. They also had like the offices there, so if you needed any help about anything. So it was basically the centre for student life, in the sense if you needed any help, if you wanted to have a drink, if you wanted to buy something from the shop. So all universities...
it was cheaper. Going to the union was always cheaper than going to a pub, or the prices are always...
They're always cheaper because they're subsidised by the well, at least they were. I don't know about now. They were subsidised by the government, which means the government contributed to help keep the costs down for students. So...
it's an important part of university life, really.
Yeah, and your halls of residence would be there. If it's a campus based university, you'd have maybe a sports hall as well, halls of residence, library, canteen, everything, and almost like a little town. Yeah, and it's a really nice feel to it. Yeah. Okay, let's move on now. Let's talk about cost, because going to uni can be pretty expensive, especially now, where I think tuition fees, so that's just what you pay for the lectures, for the lessons, £9,000 a year.
When we went, it was only about 3,500 a year. So a lot less. But
what happens is you can get a student loan, which is a government loan and very low interest rate. And you only pay it off once you get a job and you start earning over a certain amount.
Which again, it's a sign of independence, making students independent, because they can afford it themselves. And then it's their problem to have to repay it. It's not all left to the parents to have to...
Yeah, exactly. But it is up to the parents to decide how much of a loan you can get. It's called means tested. So they have a look at your parents' income, and depending on that, they decide how much of a loan you can receive. So that does depend on your parents. So what most people do as well is they get like a part-time job at university, or what I did was I had a job at home. So when I came back for Christmas, Easter, summer, I would just work every single day to earn money to then go back to university. Whereas you had a job, didn't you?
I had a job. I used to work in a lovely little coffee shop called Conti's in Lampeter, and some weekends I used to work in a pub as well. Because during the holidays I used to come back to Italy to visit my mum and dad, and so it was a different situation really.
So it's very common for people to have part-time jobs.
Yeah. Another difference really with the Italian university system is graduation. So in Italy, graduation day is actually quite stressful and very important for the outcome of...
for your mark, is it?
Yeah,
because
for your mark
you have
and
to
your degree.
You have to present your thesis, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
While in Britain, it's just a celebration, really, of what you've achieved.
It's literally just a ceremony. You already have been given your mark. You know exactly what you've got. So it's literally receiving your degree certificate.
Yeah.
And that is it.
And it's a wonderful event, which Joe didn't attend.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because I didn't go to it. Because I decided to go travelling around America. And I thought, for one day, do I really... Because it was in the middle of summer, the 11th of July.
Yes, it was.
So I thought, do I really want to sacrifice a whole summer for one day? So I decided to go travelling. But it usually is.
A lovely day. It was a way to say goodbye to friends you've made, and again, it was the moving on stage to the next step in your life.
And the other thing as well is, we knew the date of our graduation, because obviously in Britain your degree lasts a certain amount of time. It's very, very rare you could have an extension, and if you do, you have to repeat a whole year.
And it has to be for extreme circumstances.
So if you don't get the grades to keep passing the exams, which are also set dates, you don't get your degree, and that's it. So we knew it was the 11th of July, probably for at least 18 months. Before.
And you don't get a chance, while in Italy, for example, if you're not happy with a mark you're given at an exam, you can retake it and try again. In Britain, it's not the case. You have to prepare and study for the written exam, and
you can only retake something if you fail it.
Yeah.
But then when you retake it, you can only get a maximum mark, and it's quite low, because they don't want people just retaking. So you need to be prepared. So there is quite a lot of pressure. Every piece of work you do in your second, third years goes towards your final degree mark. So one bad mark, bad luck. That goes towards your mark.
But you have, as you said, a set date. You can't take 8, 9, 10 years to take your degree. It's sort of, that's that.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
The marking system as well is different. It sort of goes from a first.
Yeah, so you've got a first class degree, then which to get a first, which is the top mark, you need 70%, which doesn't sound a lot, but to get 70% in Britain is really, really difficult. And then you get a 2-1, which is between 60 and 70%, a 2-2, which is between 50 and 60. Now, I can't remember exactly. A pass.
No, you get a third.
A third, sorry, and then a pass. So a pass is 40%.
Yeah.
A third is 50%. So, but you really need at least a 2-2 at the very minimum to be able to really utilise your degree. So anyway, there we are. I hope you found this interesting. Again, let us know how much you've understood. And if you do have any more questions, because obviously we can't talk about everything in this video to do with the university. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. And
see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.